What is more patriotic? Blindly following orders given by the government and ensuring the secrecy of its actions, or alerting the people to its confidential and potentially unethical activities? Former Pentagon staffer Daniel Ellsberg would argue vehemently for the latter. Ellsberg was born in Chicago, Illinois, to Harry and Adele Ellsberg on April 7, 1931. He had somewhat of a rough upbringing due to the Great Depression, but ultimately graduated high school and went on to attend Harvard University, graduating in 1952 with a degree in economics. 2 years later, he joined the Marines and was discharged 3 years later in 1957 after rising to the rank of lieutenant. In 1959, he joined the Rand Corporation as a strategic analyst, while simultaneously completing his PhD at Harvard, the final thesis of which became a highly cited work. Ellsberg eventually left Rand in 1964 to move on to bigger things. From then onward, he worked in the U.S. Department of Defense, charged with analyzing the growing U.S. military mission in Vietnam. His high-level position in the State Department, as well as a subsequent visit to Vietnam, afforded him rare insights into the true and mostly classified nature of U.S. strategy and operations in Southeast Asia. He ultimately came to the conclusion that the war was unwinnable and became strongly opposed to American involvement in the conflict. By 1969, Ellsberg was again working at the Rand Corporation, even while frequently taking part in anti-war events. In his own words, he believed that the Vietnam War was a war of foreign aggression, American aggression. After visiting a War Resisters League conference in the summer of 1969, he heard a speech given by draft resistor Randy Keller, in which the man described his excitement to join his companions in prison. The sentiments Keller expressed led Ellsberg to experience a profound realization about his duty as someone in his particular position. A year earlier, while working at Rand, at the behest of the U.S. government, he had undertaken a top-secret study of documents pertaining to U.S. strategy in the Vietnam War. Together with his co-worker Anthony Russo, he made meticulous photocopies of this sensitive intel. The information included proved that the U.S. knew that even at the beginning of its involvement in the conflict, that the Vietnam War would be virtually unwinnable. This compilation of documents that came to be dubbed the Pentagon Papers was first only published by the New York Times, but was subsequently released by several other newspapers that Ellsberg leaked it to while on the run from the FBI. The nation's response was massive, and the papers proved to be an integral part of the end of U.S. military involvement in Southeast Asia. The release of the Pentagon Papers is undeniably of massive historical significance. However, Daniel Ellsberg's massive expose of the United States government has proven to be more than just this. By mustering the courage to simultaneously defy both his employer and the almost omnipotent government of the United States of America, Ellsberg helped cement a new concept of what it means to be a truly good American. The attention to Ellsberg's motivations that the Pentagon Papers brought highlighted and proliferated the idea that, contrary to traditional beliefs, a truly responsible and virtuous American is not one who blindly supports our country's government and its decisions. A good American is instead, as shown by the positive change Ellsberg himself brought, someone who is willing to stand up against the powers that be and fight for truth and transparency for the good of the people of the nation. This belief has influenced several other major whistleblowers since Daniel Ellsberg, such as Edward Snowden. With the relatively recent implementation of legislation related to the Patriot Act and U.S. involvement in Middle Eastern conflicts, Ellsberg's ideas are more relevant than ever and remain in the hearts and minds of many Americans.